This Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh, and we enter the month of Av, a month whose name alone carries a heavy emotional weight in Jewish tradition. This is the month of Tisha B'Av, when we mourn the destruction of the temples, the shattering of Jewish sovereignty, and so many other tragedies in our collective history: exile, persecution, and loss. In fact, the Mishnah teaches, Misha nichnas Av mema'atin b'simcha. When the month of Av enters, joy is reduced. This is the opposite of the phrase we use in Adar when we're excitedly awaiting Purim. We say, Misha nichnas Adar marbim b'simcha. When the month of Adar enters, joy increases. The phrase, when Av enters, we diminish joy, is striking because we're a tradition that loves joy. For even our fasts have purpose and meaning, yet we are told to deliberately lean into the sorrow. However, we're not supposed to stay in that sorrow for too long. Just a few days after Tisha B'Av is Tu B'Av, commonly referred to as Jewish Valentine's Day, a day the Mishnah calls one of the happiest days in the Jewish calendar, a day of love, connection, and new beginnings. Lo haya yamim tovim liYisrael kechamisha asar ba'av v'chayom haKippurim. There were no days as joyous for the Jewish people of Israel as the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. But how do we hold all of this at once? How do we carry grief and growth, sorrow and hope, in one heart, in one season, in one breath? The answer may lie in the paradox itself. Judaism doesn't ask us to get over grief. It doesn't push us to move on before we're ready. And it invites us to sit with the sorrow. Just as we sit on the floor on Tisha B'Av reciting Eicha, the Book of Lamentations, remembering pain and giving it space. But Judaism also knows that grief isn't the end of the story. In fact, Av is the only month where both extremes, devastation and joy, coexist so openly. The word Av means father. A month of mourning is named with a word of closeness, relationship, and tenderness. It's as if the tradition is reminding us, even in times of loss, we are not alone. Even as we recall exile, we belong to a people who rebuild. Even in darkness, there is love. In fact, the Talmud calls this month not just Av, but Menachem Av, comforting Av. The comfort is built in, waiting to follow the sorrow. We see this in the Haftarot we read after Tisha B'Av, the 7 weeks of consolation leading up to Rosh Hashanah. 1 week of destruction, followed by 7 weeks of healing. That's the ratio Judaism gives us. Because healing is slow, and hope requires time, but both are possible. As Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, Zichrono Livracha, once said, to be a Jew is to be a guardian of hope. Maybe that's what this month really teaches us, that the deepest kind of growth happens not in spite of grief, but through it. As we look at our own lives, at personal losses, at the brokenness in the world, at struggles we carry silently, this time of year gives us permission to name our sorrow and still believe in renewal, to mourn what was and to imagine what could be. So as we move from the darkness of Tisha B'Av toward the light of Tu B'Av, from grief to growth, may we learn to carry both sorrow and hope with compassion. May we find courage in our broken places, and may the Shabbat bring us a breath of peace, perspective, and a gentle promise that healing is always possible. Shabbat Shalom.